Hello Internet. So this is the third video in the three-part series of using meditative techniques to deconstruct the subjective stimuli that make up our experience of a sense of self. Today I'll be going over using visual thoughts as an object of focus, and before I get into that, I just briefly wanted to mention that all the techniques I have covered and will cover in the future are in this little manual, and it is the 5 ways to know yourself, an introduction to basic mindfulness as taught by my teacher Shinzen Young. And there's a free PDF copy of that available online, which I will link in the description. I also wanted to mention, before getting into using visual thoughts as an object of focus, is that everyone is really different when it comes to their relationship to auditory thoughts and visual thoughts. It may be extremely easy for some to work with visual thoughts because they are very visual thinkers, and then it may be extremely difficult for others. I personally don't have very vivid visual thoughts, and when I first started doing these techniques, it was very difficult for me to track my visual thoughts, and it took quite some time, I think about a year, before I became comfortable with CN, and this is still the technique that I am the least comfortable with out of all the techniques that I do use. They tend to arise in different places, the visual thoughts. Typically, if it's sort of visual dialogue, then it would arise somewhere. For me, it feels like it arises like in this area of my head, right behind the eyelids, more in the upper part, but it can arise in different areas. There are people who describe that their emotions are like a pink glowing sensation, but really the feeling would be working with what we were talking about in previous videos, which is feel in, or the somatic emotional thoughts. And then the pink quality of that sensation would be a visual thought. So that could be labeled or categorized as CN. Also, say for instance you're meditating and there's a car passing by in the street behind you or wherever it is, and you have a visual image of that car outside of your body just moving where that sound is. That could also be categorized as CN. Excuse me, not hearing. And so, really, it's hard to set a defined location, but typically for just like the dialogue style of visual thoughts, it happens sort of right behind the eyelids. And there are many different ways that you can work with them. You can just sit and observe the visual thoughts, and if the mind wanders into participating in the content, then you want to take a step back and just observe it as it's happening. And if you're finding it difficult to just observe the visual content without getting caught in the dialogue, perhaps just try and notice what colors are happening in that experience, what shapes, how is the image changing or shifting, what qualities make up the experience of a visual thought. We're really trying to deconstruct this experience of visual thought more than participating in the dialogue or trying to figure out what it means. And these visual thoughts can sort of manifest in different ways. It can be very ill-defined, like a wispy, almost imprint of a visual image. It can be very well-defined, so almost like a dream, or like your experience of reality right now. It can almost feel like you're in your visual thought. And neither is more desirable than the other. That's an important thing to mention. We aren't trying to create more vivid thoughts or any thoughts in general. We're actually just working with what is and how it's arising in the moment we are doing our practice. And so sometimes that means that there are no visual thoughts that are arising. And if that's the case, great. it's an optimal opportunity in order to work with visual rest. And if no visual thoughts are arising and you're deciding to use this as an object of focus, what you would use is sea rest, which is the blank gray scale behind or in front of your eyes. So when you close your eyes, if you see that image, that's sea rest. So if no visual thoughts are arising, just focused on sea rest, and then as a visual thought arises, then move into that area. And like I said, neither the presence or absence of visual thought are more desirable. We're simply just working with what is arising in our moment-by-moment experience. What else? I think that about covers it. If there... actually, noting and labels. So if you are deciding to use labels or noting, you can use the term see-in for the active experience of visual thoughts. And if you wish to use noting and labels and there is no visual thoughts arising, you can use the label see rest, which is that grayscale blank. If there are any questions about this technique or any technique at all that I have mentioned, or you just have any questions about your practice in general, don't hesitate to send me a message. This is absolutely my favorite thing to discuss out of anything in the world. I'm going to be posting more videos in the future, and the next series I'm going to go into is deconstructing the stimuli that make up our objective world. So using sight, sound, and using the physical body sensations that have no emotional relationship at all. So like the sensation of your butt on the ground or those things of that nature. Yeah, I'm also going to be posting just more videos about fun little exercises and stuff like that. So I hope you found this video informative, and I will see you next time.